Hello, I'm Emma Jo from Lavinia Stamps, and this video is all about how to make a wonderful enchanted mushroom. Here's one I made earlier. It's so lifelike, isn't it magical? It's amazing. Let's get going. Inside we've got pictures and information for how to make this kit. Now I'm going to do this with you and I'm going to follow this all the way through. Are you ready? Let's go. Scrunch a piece of kitchen foil to create a stalk about 8 centimetres long. There's nothing special about this foil. It's just normal kitchen aluminium foil. So we're scrunching it. Compress it tightly as this will act as the support for the mushroom cap. Now let's just make sure that we're getting the right sort of length. So that's my 8 centimetres. Step 2. To make the cap of your mushroom, take a piece of foil and wrap a corner around the top of the stalk 3 times so it's attached. Then use the rest of the length to form and mould the shape of the mushroom cap. So I'm going to scrunch it in and then use my hand to create the shape. Right. Step 3. Add 2 more sheets of foil until you have the complete cap shape. Okay, first one. Tuck it under on one side that's already stuck to the stalk and wrap it. And scrunch it in. So I'm going to pop that in the middle. So I'm wrapping this around my stalk just so that I know that this shape has all been made safe and strong and it will carry the weight beautifully. Don't worry about lumpy bumpy bits at the end of the cap or anything like that. You can squidge those. It's a technical term. Scrunch and squidge. There we have our mushroom. We are now on to step 4. In here we should have, right at the very bottom, some foam clay. This is magic stuff. And an MDF disc and string lights. And let me just show you. Okie dokie. I've just picked a wadge of clay. It's just superb. So just have a good old stress toy squidge with it and get it moving first. So I'm going to take something that's about 4 centimetres worth of clay. 1 MDF disc being covered with 4 centimetres of foam clay. All right, push the string lights into the foam while it's still malleable, and I'm going to leave the controller bit out to one side and push the string of lights into the foam whilst it's still malleable and then put to one side. Step 5, take another 4 centimetre ball of foam clay. Add to the mushroom cap and flatten to cover it, making sure that the foil doesn't show through. Okay, so all we're doing is flattening this foam clay onto the mushroom cap. So that, my friends, is your mushroom cap completely covered. Next, add another 4 centimetre ball of foam clay to the underside of the cap. So we're going to be doing this bit here now. So I'm rolling that ball of clay and just roll that around the stalk. And we'll just squidge again so that it joins the clay that's on the cap. It's starting to come together, isn't it? You can add some water just to help smooth the joins. So I'm just put some water on my finger and I'm just smoothing those joins out. Can you see? Let's leave that where it is now. Pop that to one side. Take another 4 centimetre ball of foam clay, roll it into a ball and flatten it and wrap around the stalk. Now it has to join the top, doesn't it? So squidge again. And slowly, as you're squidging, you will manage to get all the bits of foil covered. What I love about this is each time you make a mushroom, they sort of take on their own character. So no 2 mushrooms will be the same. And that's a good thing. Right, next step, create the gills. So I've got the clay sculpting knife. So I'm dipping that into water and just pushing the cutting edge into the clay under the cap to create the gills. And when it starts to feel a little bit sticky, add some more water. Okay, magic, isn't it? Absolutely magical. We've now created the gills. Let's see what step 9 has in store for us. To create the frilly skirt, wrap a thin length of foam clay around the top third of the stalk. Don't think we need that much. Okay, wrapping this around the top third of the stalk so that it joins. Then to create the frill, pinch the clay between your finger and thumb, literally just pinching the clay like that. And I love how it naturally creates this lovely frill, almost like a clown's collar, you know, or a ruff from Tudor times. There we go. So we now have our, what looks like a mushroom. The next step, attach the mushroom to the MDF disc. I'm going to move some of this clay a little because I'm going to want that to go up around the stalk. So attach the mushroom by gently pushing the bottom of the stalk into the foam clay on top of the MDF disc and using the clay that's already there to hold the mushroom into position. Now, step 11, our reindeer moss and our pods. Now I'm going for the larger pod and I'm going to pop that behind my mushroom because it will act as a bit of a support as well. And this other large pod over on the other side. There we go. 2 mushroom pods. And some cones, why not? And we've got these wonderful little things that almost look like mini pumpkins. So let's pop those in too. And now we need to do the reindeer moss. So I'm just going to push some of this around the base. And if you push it into the foam clay while it's wet, the foam clay will hold the reindeer moss for you. You don't have to cover the whole thing, just enough, because we'll be able to cover some of that with some scatter later on, once it's dry. So all I'm doing is just pushing this reindeer moss into position. Okay, that's all the reindeer moss I'm going to use for the base. Once it's dry, you can add more. It sticks perfectly well with Bippity Boppity glue. We've now got to leave this to dry. Now, foam clay left without supports on something like this will move. So if you leave it without a support, you may come back to a collapsed mushroom. So when I say supports, I think you're going to need jam jars, paint pots, anything that you can put around it so that any movement is minimal. If you do it in like north, south, east, west, you're covering all 4 corners. So if there's going to be any lean, it'll look natural because there's just enough support where it needs to be. And that, my friends, is where I leave you for the time being because this needs to dry. So we've waited for it to dry overnight or 2 days or however long it takes in the place you've put it. And time to remove the supports. So that's my jam jars and my water jars and my various other jars. There we go. So your mushroom should now be self-supporting. Looks fab, doesn't it? You can see all the bits with the gills and the frilly skirt and the pods look fab. So now we're going to paint it. Put half a teaspoon of the mustard seed dinkles. So this is in our kit. That's probably about half a teaspoon, I reckon. And add water. So I'm just going to do a couple of sprays to make a concentrated mix. Look at that colour. Okay, paint the top of the mushroom cap. Now, if you think that you want this colour a little bit lighter, add some more water, that's fine. There we go. What do you think? Step 13, clean your brush. I'm glad they told me. And now, put half a teaspoon of Payne's Grey Dinkles into our palette and add water again. Paint the edge of the mushroom cap and the gills underneath. So the edge of the mushroom cap, I'm just going to flick with my paintbrush up into the wet dinkles that we've got for the main brown bit of the cap. I'm turning my mushroom upside down so I can paint my gills. It's a lovely inky sort of colour, isn't it? And using a more dilute mix of the Payne's Grey, I get this lovely grey colour. So we're just going to paint the stalk. I'm going to add a touch of my mustard seed into there as well, just for a variation of colour. I mean, we've got two colours, so we may as well use them. Now I'm going to pop that down and just add that dark colour to the base. So all the little bits. Try to avoid the green reindeer moss. And there we go. What happens now? So this is step 14. As a finishing touch, add some glue to the mushroom cap around the pods and then scatter the moss sprinkles. I'm going to need some glue, so I'm going to use some Bippity Boppity and open it up so that I can just apply it with my finger. Before we do that, just grab. You can make different textures on your mushroom by adding just little shadows using that diluted version of the Payne's Grey. So let's do that, and then maybe add some splatters. I think that looks fab. Now back to the glue. Sorry, I digress. The mushroom cap. So I'm using my finger and I'm literally just applying some glue to some of the places, and I'm going to carefully sprinkle some of the moss sprinkles into position. You can apply it with your fingers or straight from the bag, whichever you fancy. Now the glue will dry clear, so don't stress about seeing too much white. And now I'm going to add some to the pods, and just around the edges of the pods, let's add some sprinkles. You've got lots of sprinkles there, so please feel free to add as much or as little as you want. With what you have left, I mean, I've got this much left, you can make another mushroom. It might be a little bit smaller depending on how much you've used for this, but you should be able to get another mushroom complete. But let's turn these lights on and see what this looks like now. There we go. And if you screw this up tight, you then have a rather magical looking enchanted mushroom that you made all by yourself. I think it looks fabulous. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed making this enchanted magical mushroom kit. You can always find this video. All you need to do is scan that QR code and it'll bring you straight back here to go through this with me again. Anyway, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed it. You take care and hopefully see you again soon. There might be some more kits coming. You never know. All right. Bye.